It's real talk. 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 Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Here we go on this Monday evening, and if you are tired of all of the rain and the thunder and the wind and everything else that happened today, raise your hand, because I know I am. It has been quite the stormy first official day of summer day here in Memphis and Shelby County. I hope that you made it through okay without too much muss, fuss, or stress, and I believe that the rain has finally moved off to the, actually to the south and to the east, and that we're done with this for a while. But yeah, did you know that today is the first official day of summertime? And that happened early this morning, but you couldn't tell with all of the rain and the thunder and everything else that was going on. But again, welcome to this live, all-new edition of Real Talk Memphis. On this Monday night, I am your program host. My name is Chip Washington. Nice to make your acquaintance. Nice to have you along for the ride this evening. We have a good show for you, so you can sit back, relax, take it easy, and enjoy an hour of good conversation. I will say at the top of the show that one of our members has been gone on doing a little vacationing around the country, and Lulu is back with us. And Lulu, throw your hand up and wave. Facebook Live. There she is. Lulu, and so she's back in the saddle and back in the family again. We're always great to see her. And Brent, of course, is here doing his thing as well. How do you get this fine piece of radio broadcasting? Well, I'm just so happy and overjoyed that you actually asked that question. Well, we are on live right now on your radio, 91.7 FM WYXR. We're also on the WYXR app. You can also find us on the TuneIn app. We are live streaming tonight, so if you're a Facebook fanatic, you can go to my page and you can see us all doing our thing here this evening live. Once the show is posted in the next day or so, you will be able to see us on YouTube. And we are a podcast. And if you didn't know that, we're on every podcast platform out there that's available. Real Talk Memphis with Chip Washington. You can also find us there as well. So plenty of ways to find this fine piece of radio broadcasting. Now, in terms of our guest tonight, the guest list is as follows. We all are aware of the Memphis and Shelby County Schools Oversight Board. The 9 members that were appointed by members of the legislature in Nashville, the governor and 2 state representatives appointed 9 individuals. Well, the last one was appointed last week. Her name is Karen Vogelsang, and she will be joining me for an exclusive interview in just a few minutes. Karen is a former educator. She actually was the Tennessee Teacher of the Year in 2015. So I think she has a little bit of knowledge in reference to what the school system is all about and or what it should be. We'll be talking with her in just a couple of minutes. A little bit later on, big elections coming up, big elections. People need to start to pay attention to what is happening out here. And we're going to talk a little bit about all of this and the importance of voting with Willie Simon. Willie is the Shelby County Democratic, he's the head of the Democratic Party here in Shelby County. He's the chairman. And he'll be talking with us a little bit about that at the bottom of this hour. And a little bit later on, Rachael Goodwin Spriggs will be joining us. She's the statewide director of power building for the Equity Alliance. More importantly, she is big on young people and their responsibility and what they need to do and the power of millennials, which could play a factor in the upcoming election. So that's the rundown of the big show of this evening. We will get into that in just a couple of minutes. But first, let us take a gander. A lot of folks born today, and we have a lot of birthdays to celebrate, but I can't do that unless I say, hit it, Bren. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Going out to the following individuals today. Mayor Jimmy Stokes of Horn Lake, Mississippi, celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday, Mr. Mayor. Yvette Whiteside celebrating her birthday, as is T.C. Haynes, Robin Lawson, Ebony White. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Charles Smith, to Laverne Edney, Terry Morton, Jeanette Miller Owens, and Sherry Monger Bowen. A lot of birthdays today. I hope that your day has been filled with love and laughter, and you had a little cake and ice cream mixed in there as well. From all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, we wish you a very, very happy birthday, and we hope to be with you next year for your next trip around the sun. Thanks, Brent. All right, let's also talk, before we get into some couple of news and notes here, some notable deaths. Clive Davis died today. If that name sounds familiar, he is a music industry executive legend. He was responsible for discovering such acts of big hit makers. Whitney Houston come to mind, Janis Joplin, Bruce Springsteen, Aretha Franklin, Rod Stewart, just to name a few. This guy, I mean, he knew he had the Midas touch, and when he saw somebody who he thought had the it, he tapped himself into them. And of course, when I think about him, I absolutely think about Whitney Houston. I mean, he was soul and part big time responsible for her amazing career. So Clive Davis transitioning today at the age of 94. And Alan Greenspan, for you older folks, Alan Greenspan was an economic individual. He was responsible, for the interest rates and a lot of other things that were happening in this country. The Fed chair, he was, not for one, not for two, but for three different presidents. He died today at the age of 100. So may their memories always be a blessing. Quick look at news and notes here. The investigation continues. It's been 1 week since the unfortunate shooting at the Walmart store in Senatobia, Mississippi, that took the life of 1-year-old Colin Wiley. Took his life. Another person in that car was critically injured. The noted defense attorney Benjamin Crump has taken the case. He held a press conference this morning at a church in Senatobia. And he has issued the call for an independent autopsy. This is an extraordinarily tragic situation when you're talking about the life of a 1-year-old child who was shot to death in a very unfortunate situation. Now, we don't know a lot about what happened here. The investigation is going to unfold. There are a lot of eyes on this right now. This has become a national story. So I'm sure that there will be some accountability involved in all of this. But again, there isn't anywhere on this planet that it's right that a 1-year-old child, a baby, loses its life, unfortunately, by being shot by law enforcement. So again, we're going to have to watch and wait and see how all of this unfolds, to be sure. And in the world of politics, we are still grieving the fact that G.A. Hardaway, remember him, State Representative G.A. Hardaway, died suddenly in April. Well, his son, who was the temporary fill-in for him during the session, has decided, made a decision that he is going to run for his father's seat. I believe it's District 91, I want to say. He's not going to be on the primary in August, but he will be on the ballot as a write-in in November. So T.J. Hardaway, son of G.A. Hardaway, will file for the election to take his dad's seat. That is a look at news and notes. And before I go to a commercial break, I want to drive you to a certain site. Now, we have created a YouTube page around here for this show. And Lulu is the architect for that, by the way. And it is up now. We have a couple of shows and on the site right now. We're building, and it looks really, really good. Lulu, do they have to just go to, what's the deal? They just go to Facebook and call it up, or how does that work? Is this on, Brent? Yep. Okay, you're up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and you just look up Real Talk Memphis. It's not Real Talk Memphis with Chip Washington, because I think that's a pre-existing page. It's just Real Talk Memphis.
And it looks good. Nice graphics, very clean. And if you want to, they can subscribe if they want to, right?
Yes.
Check it out. Okay.
Yes.
So some of you folks are checking it out already, but go to the page. Go to Facebook, YouTube, and check it out. It says Real Talk Memphis, a nice little slick little graphic there that she designed. And, if you want to listen to the show, subscribe, tell others, do that. I very rarely advertise stuff like this, but I'm excited about this, and I'm going to see how many folks actually pay attention and go to YouTube. You all like YouTube. I know that for a fact. So check us out, and if you feel up to it, subscribe. How about that? Subscribe. Anyway, let us take a break, and when we come back, we're going to begin this conversation. We're going to talk a lot about education with my first guest. This is Real Talk Memphis. I am Chip. You know who you are. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from GPAC, presenting the North Mississippi All-Stars on Saturday, July 18th at 8 p.m. Tickets and more information at gpacweb.com.
I'm Dr. Lisa Beasley, a family nurse practitioner and host of the podcast series Healthful High Notes, located on the WYXR Podcast Network. Episodes are released weekly, and I invite you to listen, like, and follow. Episode topics for the month of July include updates on juvenile arthritis, awareness on UV safety, healthy vision, and minority mental health. Visit the WYXR Podcast Network at wyxr.org or listen on your favorite podcast streaming service.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Actually looking outside crosstown concourse, and I see the sun trying to pop out after all this rain we had all day long. That's a good thing. So listen, everybody is focused on education. And, of course, we all know about the MSCS Oversight Board, Management Board, that has been selected or appointed by the governor and a couple of legislators up in Nashville. They had their first meeting last week as a group, as a body, last week up in Nashville. I'm very pleased to have on the show the last person that was selected for this board. Her name is Karen Vogelsang, and ladies and gentlemen, we are not strangers. She's been on this show before in the past, a few years ago, when she was the executive director of an organization reading program called Arise to Read. And before that, she was an educator, longtime educator, who was the 2015 Educator of the Year for the state of Tennessee. That's a big deal. And she is on this board now. And Karen, it is great to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm blessed beyond measure.
That's a good thing. It's always you.
Yes.
Too blessed to be stressed. There you go. So
No, I got some stress.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to add a little extra on the back end of that. But listen, it's great to see you. And I guess first things first. When you got the call about being a part of this very important new chapter in the world of education around here. Why did you decide that this is something that you wanted to do?
That's a great question. And I guess the easiest answer for you, Chip, and thank you for having me on, by the way. I have worked, most of my education career has been working with children who are struggling readers. And if I have an opportunity to represent them, their families, and the teachers in this role, that is really the primary reason why I said yes. Of course, I also knew who the other 8 members of the board were. Most of them, obviously, I was in the classroom when Dorsey Hobson was superintendent and had the opportunity to work in a special role during his tenure in the district. So the opportunity to work with him. And then there are just some other great people on the board. And really, from the meeting that we had last Thursday in Nashville, each one of those board members has a passion for seeing Memphis Shelby County schools, the children, succeed. And so that was very motivating, just to hear everybody's passion towards that.
You know, this is, as we all know, the largest school district in the state of Tennessee, and there's a lot that has to go into all of this. You mentioned at the top, and you're advocate and you're passionate about reading. Now, we have heard around here about the issues concerning the reading level of students in the 3rd grade and beyond, and quite honestly, some of those things that we've heard, not good. And it really is now for someone like you whose passion is this in terms of it. I'm sure that this has been a concern of yours for a while. A lot of people are very concerned about the fact that this literacy thing is sort of slipping aside, and these are our next generation of leaders. Talk about that.
Yeah, the reading proficiency rate, I think back to the time when I first started teaching, and I know the 3rd grade reading proficiency rate. And of course, when I started teaching with Shelby County Schools for 1 year. The school that I was serving in was Cape Bond Elementary School, and it became part of the city district. And then I was with the city for the rest of my career until, the 2 districts merged. But when I first started teaching, the reading proficiency rate was definitely somewhere in the 35 to 39% range. And unfortunately, it's just dropped since then. And so a lot of our children are just really struggling readers. And right now I'm working in an inner city mission in Whitehaven, an apartment complex. And Chip, I'm working with 4th graders that can't read simple kindergarten sight words. And that's really concerning. And, when I was in the classroom, most of my years were in 1st. I taught 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades as well. And I always told my students, if you can read, then you can be anything that you want to be. But first and foremost, you have to be a really good reader. And all of this comes back to those really pivotal years from K to 2. And yes, absolutely 3rd grade to an extent. But building those foundational skills. I always use the analogy of building a house. One of the first things that happens when you build a house is you're building that foundation. And you got to make sure that foundation is really, really strong so that when you put the walls up, they don't blow over. And unfortunately, right now, what's happening for too many of our children is they're not getting that strong foundation. And so we've got to really find out what's going on to be able to help these children become strong, proficient readers, and not just proficient readers, but to be able to think critically about what they're reading. And Memphis Shelby County Schools has amazing teachers that desperately want to be able to make a difference in the lives of their children. And, they're facing some challenges. I've heard from a lot of teachers last week when that announcement came out. And, I heard teachers tell me that they're just surviving and that the joy has been taken away from them in teaching and things like that. So there are definitely some issues that need to be addressed. They're not simple issues, though. They're very complex.
Yeah, absolutely that. And, there's a pretty good board of folks that work with you or will be working along with you in all of this. And if you kind of did a general survey around here about that, I think a lot of folks are pretty satisfied with the variety of individuals who have been selected on this board. Education is the primary focus, but there's a lot of business that goes into this. This is $1.8 billion a year budget. So business folks with business acumen and background, along with educators like yourself and former Superintendent Hobson, it's a nice blend. When you see all of the folks who are on this committee, you feel pretty good about it?
Oh, I feel wonderful about it. I think one of the things that the legislature has done really well is, I mean, even though this is a school system, it is a business. There's financial aspects, there's facilities, there's legal, there's, human resources, and of course, education. And so you've got to have a diverse mix of people that have experience in all of those fields to be able to, move the needle forward and make a difference. So, I had an opportunity to meet the rest of the folks on the board last week. And of course, Billy Orgel being selected as chairman made a whole lot of sense to me, because he and Superintendent Hobson, I don't think I'll ever stop calling him Superintendent Hobson, but I mean, they both helped navigate, along with some other incredible board members back then in the 2012-13 year, navigate the largest school merger in history.
Right.
So, they both bring a wealth of experience. So, got business owners, Beverly Robertson, who, she used to be a special education teacher.
Yes.
She has served as the CEO of
Trust Marketing.
I've just gone blank.
And the chamber.
And of course,
Yeah,
and the chamber. So, I mean, she brings a wealth of experience. Nisha Powers has a background in running her own business. So we've got a lot of great people on the board, and I just feel very honored to be sitting at the table with them.
What is interesting in all of this is that for the citizens, the parents, or the concerned folks involved in the school district, a lot of people were crying for change. They were not happy. They are not happy with the existing elected board, and so you come into this now, and there are a lot of eyes on you. People are going to want, okay, where do we go from here? What happens next in the whole 9 yards? Yeah. But one thing I have heard and I have seen is that if you look across the board, there are many people in this city who are welcoming the change, and they're interested to see what is going to happen. But that tells me that there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the direction of where the board is going, and people they said, look, we need somebody to step in here and try to fix this thing or try to straighten it out. Community buy-in, Karen, has got to be a very large priority for you and everyone else on the board. How important is that from your perspective, the community buying in, weighing in, the whole 9 yards?
Oh, 100%. I mean, they absolutely have to be. And I was so impressed last Thursday in Nashville. We had a couple of organizations, and we had several moms and grandmas that drove up from Memphis to basically share. And the overarching theme that every single one of those individuals said, because we had an opportunity for comments, and they all had an opportunity to comment that, were present last week. And the things that I heard were, number one, we're looking for progress, not perfection. We want to be welcome to the table. We want to know that you hear our concerns and that you're willing to have a conversation about them. That was really the overarching consensus. And then the other thing that I heard as well was, we've got your back. We're excited about this. Yeah. So I was very impressed, and I had an opportunity to talk to a couple of the moms after the meeting and just listen to some of their concerns. And listening to their concerns, Chip, just really broke my heart, because they're really wanting something better for their children. Yes. And the ladies that I spoke with, they did not feel welcome to the table. And again, that broke my heart, because I think as educators, in whatever capacity we're serving in, they're our customers. And as our customers, we need to pay attention to what their concerns are, and we need to listen to them and find a way to work together. So whether it's an individual in a business, because when I was the executive director at Arise to Read and I spoke with business leaders, it's like, look, the school system is educating your future workforce. And, we've got to have an educated workforce. I mean, it's one thing to get kids to third grade, But beyond third grade, we got to get them to graduation so that they have an opportunity to make choices. And as one person said, I believe it was one of the individuals at the board, she would want her own children to stay in Memphis, Shelby County,
Yeah.
instead of leaving
Yeah.
and going and working somewhere else. So it's imperative from the standpoint for our children, for the families, and then just for our community as a whole.
So, your overarching message to the community at large, here in Memphis and Shelby County, in terms of you all being put in place and the drive to succeed, would be what? What do you want the community to know, to understand, and more importantly, to be inclusively a part of in all of this?
I think the overarching message for us as board members, and obviously I've had a few more conversations since I left Nashville last Thursday, but it's all about student achievement. We want students to be successful. If students are successful, then our community will be successful.
Yeah, I
So
think.
it's
Go ahead.
the focus, the steely-eyed focus has to be on our children.
Yeah, and you, I know I had Beverly on the show not too long ago, and she said the same thing you did. The focus, not only the focus, but the input of this community, who in many instances, you talk to a lot of folks, they feel like they haven't been listened to at all in terms of past things that have happened, in terms of board dynamics and everything else. They want to be listened to, they want to be heard, and really that buy-in really affects all of us, doesn't it, Karen? I mean, we all
Absolutely.
have a responsibility
Absolutely.
to drive this to make our children successful in the future. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when I was at Arise to Read, one of the things that, always came up, the question that came up a lot was, what's happening in the classrooms and things like that. And, our schools, and I'm not just talking about here in Memphis, Shelby County, but across the country, have become much more diverse. We have children that are coming into our classrooms from all different cultural backgrounds and language backgrounds and things like that.
Yeah.
It's made it more challenging for teachers. And, I remember the year I was named Tennessee Teacher of the Year, I was in fourth grade. I had 27 students. I had 6 that were above a fourth grade level. They had been kicked out of the optional program because of attendance issues that weren't their fault. And I had 2 children in the fourth grade at a pre-K level and everything in between.
Wow.
So I was designated, honored as this good teacher, right? But I wasn't a miracle worker. Now, did everybody grow in my classroom? Yeah, everybody grew. Did they all leave on grade level? No, they didn't. I wish they did, but the reality is, they didn't, because they all came from so many different backgrounds. All that to say is that we can't put this responsibility all on teachers. This has to be a community effort. So whether it's organizations, nonprofit organizations that are coming into the classroom to put effective programming in place to help children, whether it's after school programming, and all levels in the community, we've got to be involved to basically help our children become successful so that they can not only leave third grade reading proficiently, and we can drive that percentage up as we go forward, but also to get them to graduation so that they have opportunities to make a choice in life. Because if they don't get to that, that graduation point, the choices and the opportunities become very, very narrow.
Yeah.
I had a student when I was at Keystone, and I remember her asking the custodian if she could help the custodian, and the custodian looked at her and said, "You get your tail back in that classroom and learn."
Yeah.
And I asked the student if she understood why. And she said, "No, Miss V, I don't understand." And I said, "Because she wants something better for you."
Yeah.
She doesn't want you cleaning up bathrooms after fourth grade boys and girls or the cafeteria. She wants you to learn. So all of our children, and I love what Beverly said at the meeting last Thursday. All of these children are our children,
yes,
regardless of race, cultural background, anything. They are all of our children, and it's all of our responsibility to make sure that we give them the best opportunity for success in school and in life.
Karen Vogelsang, ladies and gentlemen, she is a member of the Memphis Shelby County Schools Oversight Committee, Management Board. Karen, it's great to see you. I'm sure
Great to see you, Chip.
We'll be keeping in touch with each other as time moves along in all of this. But
Give me a little time.
Oh, absolutely. In the meantime, best of success. I know it'll be a wonderful experience. There you go. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate you.
You bet.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chip.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Karen Vogelsang, ladies and gentlemen. And the bottom line is, this board has been appointed, and they understand that this is going to be a challenge. It's going to be an uphill challenge, but we are all responsible for being a part of this and contributing any way we can, supporting, encouraging. If there was any time, now is the time. Let us take a break. When we come back, we'll be shifting gears and talking a little bit about politics. It's the what day is this? Monday, right? It's the Monday edition of Real Talk Memphis. You get a little confused sometimes as you get older, but anyway, it's Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Hello, friends. Are you craving a soundtrack for the supernatural? The Witching Hour is your answer. Tune in every Monday, 11 p.m. to midnight. Lock your doors, dim the lights, and let the music summon the spirits. Only on WYXR.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. Of course, this is a live, all-new edition of Real Talk Memphis this evening. We're going to shift gears now, and we're going to talk about politics, and we're going to talk about how incredibly important it is right now for those of you who like to stay disengaged to become more engaged. And my next guest, I've never had him on this show, and I'm glad that we could make some time for us this evening. Please welcome to the show. He is the Shelby County Democratic Party chairman. He is Mr. Willie Simon. And Willie, it's great to see you, man. Thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks so much, Chip. I appreciate you for allowing me to come on. And like I said, man, I'm a big fan of what you do and glad to come on and share a platform with you, sir.
Well, thank you, man. So listen, we're at if we've never been at a critical time, this seems to be the time. Willie, you have an uphill battle, I think, in terms of voter apathy and really getting people to understand with this redistricting issue how imperative it is for people to focus, to pay attention, to get involved, and to understand what this is all about. When you take one district and you split it into three different districts, Willie, for you, when you look at this on a daily basis, what is the challenge that you see?
Well, the biggest challenge is getting people to understand that you're a threat. You're such a big threat to people feel like in order for them to prevail against you, they got to cut you into three. Just imagine your favorite superhero. And they say the only way we can beat this guy is if we divide them into three sections because this guy is so incredible. Mm-hmm. And so I think what we have to look at is the fact that, you can draw lines all you want, but the voting power is right here in Shelby County. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the 901 in West Tennessee has a lot to say about, even though the lines are drawn, if we show up and we show up the way we need to, because we need to let our voices be heard. It's a known fact that, we had about 16% vote in the last primary election.
Yeah.
And if we need to increase that. And if the other 84% are listening right now, they need to get off the couches and let's go ahead and show them how powerful we can be. Although the lines are being drawn, we want to make sure that they're not drawn through our right, and we want to move forward with that.
If you talk to some of the folks who are of the senior set around here and who lived and went through some of those dark days back in the 60s around here, and they understand exactly what the battles were, in terms of voting and a lot of other things, they seem to understand. Now, as I've been talking to folks, Willie, one thing that I hear a lot is, and I like to focus on young folks. So these millennials, anybody from like 18 to 30, 35, they have an incredible opportunity here, and there's an incredible role. But people, and I've asked the question, well, why don't you think they're more engaged? It's because they tell me it's because they don't think they have anything to fight for. When you hear that, what do you say? What would be your reverse argument in terms of young people who say, well, we don't, there's nothing out here for us in terms of voting, so why should we go?
Well, I'd show them what's happening in Memphis today. If you want to walk the streets and feel like you're part of a community and not part of a military state, then you need to vote. Mm-hmm. If you want to go out and make sure that you're maximizing your earning capabilities here in the city, and the opportunity is bustling at every door, then you need to vote. If you're here and you see that you want more entertainment, more things that attract you to the city, you need to vote. You need to get people that are like-minded in office so that they can go ahead and champion your causes.
Recently, we had the Souls to the Polls event, which was supposed to be billed as an awareness campaign, basically, that was led by the religious community. Pastors from several denominations got together on a Sunday evening. It was a very enthusiastic crowd, from what I'm to understand. People were fired up and energized in terms of all of that. So that turned out well. A couple of questions I want to ask in reference to this. Do you think that the church community has a real role to play in terms of creating the awareness and making people understand just how important this effort truly is?
Yeah, the church is one of our most organized civic groups and spiritual groups in any culture. When you think about it, our churches, especially in the Black church here in Shelby County, they meet 3 times a week, mostly prayer meeting. They're going to have a Bible study, then they're going to have choir rehearsal, and then they're going to have church service. Those people, anybody that's in the church, they're already organized, so they understand organization. The second part to a church is during the civil rights movement, most of the people that you hear that were the big names, they were the pastors. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.,
yes,
Ralph Abernathy, and all those guys were pastors. And so they saw the hurt in their communities, even though they may have had a car and didn't have to ride the bus, but they saw when their congregation was hurting, it was hurting them as well. And so whether we look at what happened in the civil rights movement to what's happening right now, our pastors are the people that we look to for hope. And if they get involved in something like this, it lets us know that people say it's a separation of church and state, but there's also a separation from right and wrong. And pastors should step in when they see the people are being done wrong.
You do this every day, and so piggybacking on that last question in reference to the Souls of the Polls to the Polls event, what should come next? What happens now? It's been a few weeks now. It's been a bit quiet, but what in your particular thought process should be the next step in this process, and how do we keep it going until August?
Yeah, so mobilization is the most important thing. We got to go and talk to every group that's organized, everybody that's unorganized, and get them organized to tell them that this is a fight worth having. This is a cause worth fighting for. We've lost. It's almost like, and I use this in a couple of scenarios. If people ask me what's happening, I said it's almost like we're moonwalking. It looks like we're going forward, but we're actually going backward. And we need to take that out of our heads that we're moving forward when we see that every year we see some kind of legislation that comes and basically takes away the voice of the people in the community. I mean, whether you be white, black, Protestant, or Catholic, if you live in the 901 in the 9th Congressional District, you just lost a voice. And people always think of just the black community when we think about Congressional District number 9, but that district was drawn just so West Tennessee can have a voice, not because it was a predominantly black district. It was drawn for West Tennessee to have a voice. And some, after the Calais case, they decided to split it up under, the false pretense that it was done because of party lines, but it had to be done for racial lines because they used the census in order to make the decision to draw the lines and split the districts into 3. So my biggest thing is we need to just mobilize, tell people the truth about what's happening. There's a spirit of takeover that's being forced down in Memphis and Shelby County. We look at our school board. We look at what's happening with the airport. If we don't take hold of our own local politics and we don't have our voices being heard, somebody will speak for us. And we definitely need to stand up.
You know, that's and that seems to be what the message should be. And I know that's what you're preaching on a daily basis to all of our citizens. I think probably one of the most powerful statements that I've heard in all of this is people need to understand that the black voices in this community are being diluted in because of all of this and because of all of this shift and change. And some of these, I mean, honestly, the way they redrew these lines, in some of these areas it's just crazy to me. I just for the life of me, I just can't figure anything out as to how this is a positive thing. But this is something that people really need to study. And I guess another thing I know before I let you go is people need to be informed. And B, in particular, know where your district is, know where you vote, know where you go to vote. Talk a little bit about that part, your precincts and everything.
So I'll sum it up. I know one of the things that you mentioned, voices are being diluted. We're forced to fight a fixed fight, and we plan on winning a fixed fight. Now, it sounds incredible to try to do, but we're going to try to win a fixed fight.
Yeah.
And the way we win a fixed fight is by turnout. We show up. And the only way you lose a fight if you don't show up, that's one guaranteed way to lose a fight if you don't show up at all. So we're challenging every district to come out and make sure they, first of all, go to an informative body and come to the Shelby County Democratic Party. You can go to our website, www.shelbydem.org. And you can also reach out to us. We're having forums. In fact, we have a District 9 forum coming up on, it's going to be located at New Sardis Church on June 30th. And come to these events and you get an opportunity to start seeing these electeds. You get an opportunity to ask the questions that you need to ask, and you get an opportunity to let your voice be heard. If you don't say anything, somebody will say it for you. And I keep telling people that a non-vote is a vote. If you sit on the couch and you allow it to happen, you basically voted for the opposition.
Willie Simon, ladies and gentlemen, the Shelby County Democratic Party chairman. Some good words, some good thoughts. Willie, thank you, man, for coming on the show. We will obviously keep a very close eye on what is to come in all of this. In the meantime, best of luck to you and keep up the fight.
Thank you so much. And young people, I see you got 2 young people in your crowd right there.
I do.
Hey, young people, show up and show out. They're looking for you guys to be quiet. You got a lot to say, and I'm looking forward to hearing your voices.
Thank you, Willie. There you go. I like the way that ended. Thank you so much, Willie Simon, ladies and gentlemen. This is too important to you for you to sit around and act like nothing's happening out here. There's a lot at stake, and I, for one, think that young people could play a huge role in all of this. We thank Willie for coming on the show. That was a great interview. Let us take one final break, and when we come back, speaking of young folks and speaking of millennials and speaking of their role in our future, we're going to talk to somebody about that very thing. This is Real Talk Memphis. We got a little bit more to go. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Support for WYXR comes from Qobuz, an independently owned music platform offering a streaming subscription, a download store, and an in-app magazine. More information at qobuz.com.
Support for WYXR comes from Chameleon House Productions, presenting the Summer Solstice Block Party in partnership with Groovy Gratitude, happening Saturday, June 27th from 2 to 10 p.m. at Grind City Brewing, featuring headliners Tommy Wright III, LaChat, and Zach Fox, as well as live DJ sets from DJ Nico and Friends, Chemist, and more.
You're listening, but are you in the know? The WYXR weekly newsletter is the best source for keeping up with events at WYXR, whether they are happening on our airwaves, behind the scenes, or out in the community. Log on to newsletter.wyxr.org to sign up for our mailing list and keep yourself in the loop.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
It's real talk. 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 It's real talk.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening, ladies and gentlemen. Chip Washington with you. And my next guest is, I would say, it's not an understatement to say that she has a passion for young folks. And I mentioned in the last segment, there was an event called Souls to the Polls to inform and educate folks about this redistricting issue and how important it is that they get out and play their part by voting. Please welcome to the show Rachael Goodwin Spriggs. She is an education advocate, and she is I want to make sure I get this title right here. She is the statewide director of power building for the Equity Alliance, and she joins me now. Hi, Rachael. It's great to see you tonight.
It's great to be here, Chip, as always. It's really good to be here.
So listen, you were a part of that Souls to the Polls event, and you spoke very eloquently about millennials. And I think sometimes, to be honest with you, I really think that the role of these young folks is it's underdiminished. I think that people really don't think about them in terms of being a part of the solution to some of the issues in terms of voting that is important. You made a very eloquent point to say, listen, do not forget about the millennials. They have a base and they have a reason, and they need to be factored into this equation. Why is that so important to you?
It's so important to me because I think that I think it's so important because I think that one of the things that we need to sit with is we have inherited a lot of the benefits from the fight of those who come before us, right? And so now it's our turn. It's our time. And and one of the things right now, because we have everyone's attention with the gerrymandering and because of the redistricting, I think it's important to also understand that we have to stop treating voting as the ceiling of our power, and we have to think of it as the floor, right? And so I think that, like, when we think about that, understanding really was very specifically, I work with the youth, I work with, the Generation Z, but right now I'm specifically talking about millennials, because for some reason we don't understand and we think we can sit this out. But there's no way to sit this out. We can't, like I said in the speech, like we're the aunties, we are the ones leading the staff meetings, we are the ones that are, running the county commission, running the school board. And so we have an obligation we have obligation to carry the baton, because if we don't, then it falls, it drops. And so, like, we have a unique place right now in history, and I think that's why it's so important to me. But just understanding that it is not, like, voting is not at all the ceiling. Like, we need a long-term strategy. We need to understand our role around running for office, managing campaigns, serving on boards. Now that's us. That's our generation. Joining commissions, funding, local organizing, training the young people that's coming behind us, supporting Black women leaders, defending public schools. That's us. It's on us right now. And so I'm very passionate about the role that millennials play in this moment.
So let me ask you, in reference to that, how as a city, as a county, are we doing in terms of that? I mean, do you feel like people are understanding, other folks are understanding that millennials have power? And as you just eloquently stated, I mean, you know, this is your time. I mean, you're the ones who are the future leaders and involved in a lot of other things. How do we get people to really understand the power that this group of individuals has, and how important it is for them to be a part of this process?
I think it's important to start with what happens when we don't show up. What happens if we you know what I'm saying, if we choose to sit it out. And we're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing us be reactionary to a lot of things that are coming down the line, especially in Tennessee, starting with our school systems, starting with XAI. We always behind the 8 ball. And I think that it is extremely important for us to get to a place where we are no longer being proactive. If authoritarianism is organized, then democracy has to be organized too. You know, if voter suppression is strategic, then our resistance to that has to be strategic too. And so I think that if they are withdrawing maps to weaken our power, then we have to withdraw the map of what power looks like in our communities. Like, we got to be really intentional about, like, millennials. Like, it is our time for millennials to get over the whole apathy, like, because we have, and I said this in my speech too, we have, you know, been used in ways where, you know, folks, they banking on us and they always calling us to the forefront and want to utilize our the work that we do, but we're not always heard, we're not always seen, our thoughts are pimped out. But I think that it's important to kind of, right now, it is so important that we understand that if we don't carry the baton, then it is detrimental to us. And so, like I keep saying, and everything I'm doing right now is around millennials. We have a Harambe happy hour just to get millennials in the room, but we got to organize our neighborhoods. We have to be we have to turn brunches into phone banks. You know, we have to just, like, all the things that we care about and where we spend our time, we got to figure out how to be real strategic in our efforts right now. And so that's my message. That's been my message to millennials. That's been my message to my peeps, my people, my peers.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, I would be remiss to let you go before I ask you about something that is extraordinarily important. You sort of alluded to it. Now, earlier I had one of the newly appointed members of the Memphis and Shelby County Oversight Committee. In terms of this, they're going to start their work on July 1st, I believe. So what do you think about all of this? What do you think about these folks coming in and basically overseeing the day-to-day operations of the Memphis and Shelby County School District? You were very active and vocal in what happened in the past in terms of Dr. Fagans and a lot of other things. What do you think now?
I think we have to keep showing up in the same way. It doesn't matter who the board is. It doesn't matter who's in charge. I think it's imperative that the people understand that we have the power to hold whoever accountable. And so, yes, we see that this is a very strategic placement. And we know that it appears to have very little to do with student achievement. It has very little to do with what has occurred in the past under this same leadership as it pertains to the state. And so we have to make sure that we have infrastructure in place to hold whoever it is accountable. We can't just say, "Oh, we're defeated." I saw the lawsuit, go up, and that's just, we know right now we can't trust that. So we as the people have to make sure that we have some form of accountability system, some form of infrastructure. We're paying attention to the details. We're in those meetings. We are listening in. And we continue the work that we've been doing under, whether it's the local school board, whether it's the state, the board that the state has put in place. So, nothing changes for us. We have to stay diligent. We have to stay vigilant. And so that's where I'm at with that.
Well, listen, it's always great to talk to you. You have a very energizing spirit, and I think that what you're saying, in essence, is like we can't stay on the sidelines. We have to get in the game. If we're going to be a part of it, we need to be in it, and we need to hold folks accountable ourselves, which I would imagine that's your prevailing message. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know, my time is running down, but if you are one who, you are trying to figure out what that looks like for you, you're also feeling inspired, feeling like you want to plug in, definitely join. It's many groups that are doing amazing work. But I do invite you to log in and lock in with the Equity Alliance. You can find many of the things that we're doing, from the fight with the budget. Like I said, this is bigger than just, showing up to the polls, voting. We have to be in those budget meetings. We have to go show up to the school board meetings. We have to be like all things everywhere. So log into the Equity Alliance, www.theequityalliance.org. We are canvassing. We are talking to folks in our community. We are at the budget meetings, even tomorrow at City Council. If you want to log in, go to our website. Every way you can plug in. You just say, I don't really want to be on the forefront. I just want to do postcards. I want to do something. I want to just get my neighbors, my group, to just do postcards to let folks know when voting is happening. Like, we are the organization to plug into. There is something for everybody to do. There are multiple entry points, and I do invite you to get involved and find your place in the movement, in this work.
Rachael Goodwin Spriggs, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I really enjoyed talking to you. And, of course, as time moves forward here, I'm sure I will be reaching out to you again as certain issues come up. But I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I really do. I really appreciate you and your time.
Absolutely. Really, absolutely. It's always a joy to be here too.
Thank you so much. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a good show, man. A lot of energy, a lot of passion. Listen, we all have our part to play. You need to figure out what that part is and that role is for you. We're about to get out of here now, but don't change that dial, because a new fresh edition of, I like saying that, of Event Horizon is just around the corner with our guy, Bren Butler. Bren, do you have another great show for us this evening?
We do. We have a pretty good show. I'll have a small intro and a small outro, and giving a tribute to the late Tay Keith, Memphis' own producer.
Yes,
passed away last week.
Yes,
and of course, plenty of Tay Keith in the future shows as well.
You're the man, baby. You get it together the show is growing, and Bren is he's putting it out there musically. So stick around. You'll enjoy the next hour. Absolutely that.
Oh yeah.
So as Bren plays us out, this has been a great show. Thank you, Memphis and Shelby County, whoever else out there who might be checking us out. And listen, we have a new YouTube page. It is Real Talk Memphis. Look at it, Lulu. Yeah, it's Real Talk Memphis. That's what it is. And check it out. We're posting these shows now. We're building the page and the whole 9 yards. And you can hear the shows. If you missed any part of the shows that you might have not seen, you can do that as well. And also hit subscribe. You can subscribe to the page, and you'll never miss another fresh edition. So listen, go out and make it a great evening. Have a great week. Be safe out there. Be careful out there. And do the right thing. That's all I can tell you. Until we meet again next Monday. If the Lord says so, we'll be back next Monday.